Welcome to Call Before Showing, a podcast where we help real estate pros navigate the emotional ups and downs of the real estate business
and hear the stories of real people who buckle in and ride the roller coaster with us.
Are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome to Call Before Showing. This is Alex Eldridge, and I'm here with my co-host, Alison McPherson.
Hello.
And today we have a very special guest. Kyle Crawford is here to speak with us about being a millennial and a broker. We're very excited to have you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And he's our first male guest, so...
Oh, God.
So much pressure?
Yeah, pressure now.
Oh,
I don't know what to do.
I shouldn't have told you. Sorry.
That's okay. I think I can help out.
Yes, we need some testosterone on this podcast.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know how much
exactly.
I can help with that, but I'm here to see what I can do. So
I guess we should get started with learning like a little bit about your story, what made you want to get into real estate, and all that jazz.
I have been in real estate for over 5 years now. Actually, my 5-year anniversary was a month ago. So it was something I always wanted to do. I was younger. I realized I didn't want to wait any longer. You know, I'm sure we can all relate that. The demographics, I always felt intimidated by getting into it at a young age. Finally, I just kind of took the plunge, went and took my classes, started out at a great brokerage, and just have been running ever since. But I'm definitely glad I got into it at a young age.
What did you do before real estate?
I was a store manager for retail for a number of years out of college. It was a fun job, made a lot of friends, a lot of people my own age. And then it just got to the point where, as a career path, there wasn't much future there that I could see. And I just decided at that point that it was time for me to actually find the career I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And I knew I always wanted to do real estate, so it just seemed like that culmination of good things to get into it at that point.
Where did you work in retail?
I worked at Abercrombie & Fitch. I started there part-time in like the mid-2000s.
Do you feel like working in retail prepared you for some of the stuff that we have to deal with?
It did. I worked with a lot of younger kids, a lot of the staff we had about 100 part-time workers at Abercrombie, generally about 17, 18-year-old. So you deal with a lot of personalities. So I think the biggest takeaway is that it realized that I do like working with different people, but it also taught me that I have to kind of adapt to work with people, and I shouldn't expect people to pick out how I want to be treated kind of thing. So it was one of those things, being the store manager, you're in charge of a lot of stuff, and you just have a lot of personalities to deal with. So
And in real estate, and I imagine being a managing broker for realtors that work, I guess maybe a little bit like teenagers, like because we're like, oh, we have flexible schedules and
realtors also love to party.
Yes.
Yeah, and we all like to drink. So I imagine like that was a really easy transition.
It definitely was. It got to the point, especially the happy hours. You are right. I was surprised by how many happy hours actually exist in real estate, how much lunches and dinners and parties that you're always invited to go into. I never go to them because then you start learning when you get established, you're very busy. So you have to pick and choose. But getting into real estate, it can definitely catch you off guard about all this free stuff that's coming to you and all these great fun things to do. Yeah. And if you don't stay kind of focused in on what your real job is, you get sucked into it. But as far as the personality goes, you're right. You have a lot of agents that just are very used to having people wanting things from you, always doing stuff for them. So as a broker, you kind of get in there and say, okay, what should we be doing for you? How can we help? But within reason that we also have a lot of other agents that also need guidance as well.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I think it must be really tough to deal with so many realtor personalities because usually the personality is very outgoing, somewhat egotistical, just really big personalities.
It is. And that's the thing is you have my personality. I get along with most people, but I don't have, to me, that typical walk into a room of strangers and start shaking hands, handing out business cards, and just being your best friend within a minute or two. But that's a very prominent personality in this industry. Mm-hmm. But we also have people that I feel like more like us, kind of that more laid back, we get along with people, but we're also not fighting to get everyone's attention right away. But being the broker, you just have to realize that there are so many different personalities you're going to run into. And you really just have to pick up quickly who has what personality, because the same way I joke with you when you come to me for an issue, I cannot joke that same way with someone who is very by the books, type A and this and that. So you kind of, I'm never a fake person, but I definitely am very aware of my audience when I'm talking to agents and kind of what they expect from me. As much as I think it's so fun to talk to the fun agents that come in the office, we're going to have a great time and laugh about things and get through it. You also know that right behind them, your door is going to open with someone that has a serious problem that doesn't need my humor or me smiling about something. So you do adjust. You still treat everyone fairly and equally about it, but you definitely have to adjust your personality. So I think a lot of times when you're looking for a good broker, you need people that adjust to you and not try to fit every agent into the broker box, and this is how you have to act.
With managing so many different personalities, what was the biggest learning that you've ever had? What mistakes have you made with people's personalities? I want to hear about like the down and dirty stuff.
What I will say, you're just never prepared for it. Even when they asked me to take over being managing broker I started off with one office. No matter how much you read the contracts, and the contract is usually black and white, your answer is always going to be in there. You kind of go into the broker thinking that, like, hey, the answer is always in the contract.
Right. It's like you've got your cheat sheet right there.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, as the broker, I studied these contracts and all these INVAR forms. That first agent that's going to walk through your door or call you, you just throw it all out the door, because things are so situational that you can never prepare really for what's going to come at you. So it's great that we have to really, I'm not going to say memorize the contract, but really know the language, in depth. But it doesn't help prepare you when you first become a broker at all. You're going to panic. You're going to swear the world's falling apart. Someone's getting sued. Get the attorneys ready and all this stuff. And at the end of the day, it's never that, usually it's never that serious, but until you get into the role and really kind of feel out the systems, you're going to feel that way. Actually, my first week, I actually thought we were going to have a lawsuit.
Oh, no.
And it's just one of those things. Nowadays, I hear lawsuit, I'm like, oh, okay, send the paperwork. You're a little bit more laid back about it. But when you first come broker, you get a little stressed out, just learning curve to the max.
I remember in my first year, I did a really difficult deal. I was on the list side, and on the buyer side, the agent was just really bad and messy, and just, I would have hated to be represented by her. But I got a letter like 2 or 3 months later saying that they were talking about seeking like legal action against me. And now I would know, like, you don't have any basis, like, good luck. But at the time, I had like a full-blown panic attack, like shaking, tears in my eyes.
Running to your broker.
I think I'm
what
going
do I do?
to jail.
Yeah, and that's part of the role as a broker, is when those things come at you, I probably get those conversations, not once a week, but pretty frequently. We get someone's saying something legal is going to happen. Yeah. And as the broker, I feel like my first role is always to the agent themselves. I'm like, hey, we'll get to the client, we'll get to what happened, but let's just talk through what you're feeling. Let's go through that.
That's so nice.
It's just one of those things that I think some brokers, when you get to them, they just give me the facts. We're going to deal with it that way. Trust me, we will get to what caused the situation and stuff. And like I say, you get so used to, as a broker, hearing someone's going to sue. My question to the agent is always, okay, well, who brought up that topic of suing? Was it the client, or did you tell them that you felt they had some kind of case to go? Because I feel like that's one thing I learned as the broker, is that we as agents, we are just the contract and the real estate aspect of it. One of the biggest issues I run into with agents is they start interpreting the contract and start telling the sellers, well, if they don't do this, you can go after their EMD. And I'm sitting there when it comes to it, I'm just like, please, you should not be instigating anything. We're not the attorneys here. We don't infer anything. Mm-hmm. But we run into that a lot with the contracts, is agents that are kind of going outside of their scope and expertise of real estate and the market, and they start interpreting and inferring things from the contract. Yeah. And that's where a lot of the stuff comes in, where clients are like, oh, I can sue. I didn't know I could keep that $5,000 EMD. And it's like, you probably shouldn't have said it that way, because they almost think that it's a given that they just get it.
And then they feel entitled to it.
Yes. And then every decision they make is, I want that $5,000, so what do I need? It's not about keeping the deal together. It's about, how do I get that $5,000? And it just creates a bad situation.
Absolutely.
And then the moment you start suing everybody, like, you're losing that $5,000 in legal fees. Like, the lawyers are just getting them, right? So
exactly, yeah.
Is it really even worth that battle? Just list it again and sell it again.
Exactly, yeah. And that's the problem. And I think a lot of times clients, that's the guidance they need from us. The first step should be you need to speak to an attorney about what your options are instead of having agents say, well, let me tell you what I heard or what's going to happen.
Right.
So I always tell people, we're not attorneys. That should be really clear. It says it in our contracts with them, but
I think that oftentimes realtors get caught advising in so many areas. Advising as though they are a lender, advising as though they are a contractor or a structural engineer, and in some sense I don't fault them because we're asked to do that. Clients aren't calling up these like specific professionals. They're asking us all of these questions.
Yeah.
And we don't want to seem like totally not knowledgeable.
Yeah.
But it really gets people in trouble.
Yeah, you don't want to throw up the standard, oh, that's not my area, you need to go seek it somewhere else. And I think one thing agents can do is surround yourself with good sources of information. I mean, get contractors you like that. You're not just trying to give them the business. You're saying, hey, I'm going to reach out to you for just questions and guidance sometimes. Same thing with good lenders, home inspectors. It's not always I'm just referring business to you. A lot of times it's, hey, my client during the final walkthrough is asking about this HVAC system. They were supposed to do something. Mm-hmm. As agents, we should never be giving our opinion on what the work quality was like. Mm-hmm. But you should be able to reach out to a contractor and say, hey, can I ask you a question? Can I take some photos and send it to you? Can I get your kind of interpretation? Because that's the thing I think agents can benefit from is surrounding yourself with those good sources that they can reach out to. So that way, even if your client asks you and say, I'm not sure, but let me reach out right now and I'll get right back to you. Because I think agents, new agents especially, we were always so afraid that clients were going to swear we didn't know what we were doing or talking about. So you would you still get it. Like sometimes you'll get a very strong personality client and they ask you a question and you're so paranoid that if you don't give them an answer right away, they're going to write you off. They're going to go sign a new agreement.
They're going to fire you.
Yeah. How dare she didn't know the exact month and year this roof was installed. Like even like a home inspector could even tell you that too. Yeah. But I think that that's the best thing is that when you surround yourself with these good sources and you let your clients know you have them kind of, from your initial buyer's agreement or listing agreement, then they know that you have people there that you can reach out to because they can't expect you to know everything. Even though a lot of agents like to think that they do know everything. So
what was your rookie year like?
Oh.
Like how many sales did you have? Did you have like ups and downs?
Yeah, I'm very upfront. I had 2 deals my rookie year and they were at the tail end of it. I went in there thinking I was going to close. Oh, I can get at least 6 deals.
Did you go in full time?
Yeah, I went in full time. So I started with Weichert. I was with them for about 3 years. And that first year, we did trainings every week. We did all that stuff that good agents and rookie agents really need to do. But, I kind of drew a line in the sand. Like, I don't do open houses because those people are already... And I kind of, as a rookie, you kind of decide, you should test things out. You should say, what things should work? Let me try these things and really find what I'm good at. I kind of went into it more like, no, I know what works for me and my personality, and I am only going to do those things. Yeah. And that probably led to why it took me 10 months or so before I actually got a deal out of it. And then once that happened, it really took off because then I was a little bit more open-minded to say, hey, these are things other agents are doing. And I'm not going to cold call people because that's definitely, I would be uncomfortable. I know it doesn't work for me. But I found great substitutions to actually go, okay, but I have no problem designing my own social media ads, sending it out there, all that kind of stuff. So I think my rookie year was just a prolonged, really big learning experience. But the other thing I did was I was also at the associations doing classes nonstop, even over the required continuing education. And I think that kind of ingrained in me. As much as I like to do my online classes now, I'm still probably every couple weeks taking an in-person class because you get a lot more one-on-one examples about things too.
And it makes me feel better about rookie years in general because I'm like, everyone is always like, oh, I got 19 million deals, like on social media, like all the people.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I could go right now and be like, my rookie year, I did $50 million and,
and
go verify it.
people would just believe it.
Yeah. And that's a good thing about rookie year. You're kind of going into this industry new and green. I remember the first thought I went to my first class at Weichert and training. I remember looking at all the cars and I was like, oh my God, look at these cars. You real estate, these people have made it. And it's just, you go into it with that mindset of, just people, consumers looking at like, hey, we make so much money, we do all this stuff. And your rookie year is really all about, that's why I think right now NAR said we're at 75% of new agents drop out before their first year is even over. And it is a scary thing because I don't think that enough is being said to new agents and rookie agents to say, here's the reality of your first year, and here's things that you really should be doing to really weather that kind of training period for yourselves.
Alison and I say, if you survive your first year with a deal and like you're able to pay a bill with real estate, then you have made it so much further than...
Yeah, if you get a deal and you can pay back some of those credit cards you've been charging, you know, your open house signs
I
for...
mean, if you can like pay your rent like you've succeeded, like, and it's so costly, especially at first.
Yeah.
There's so many people that just don't make any money or lose money and then they quit right away.
They do, yeah.
Well, and it is one of those careers that if you don't have a good support system, whether it be friends, family, or like for me, I wouldn't have been able to get through my first year if I did not have my husband's income. I would have had to quit and get like a quote unquote real job, you know, still have expenses. And then you still have the expenses of like starting a business. And you don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to do this side job too because I want to dive all in. And so it's this weird balancing act. You need a support system in some way.
You do. And that's a great tip because for me, it was, you know, my family definitely, 2 deals in 1 year is nothing that can really sustain. And like you said, your first year, I think you're probably, at least for Northern Virginia with fees and everything, probably your startup fee to get into it's about $2,500. And then, of course, when you get into it, well, you need to sign up for this program, and you need to do this, and all these. You need
to buy a lockbox.
Yeah, you need the lockbox today because, God forbid, you get one the day you actually get a listing paperwork signed. So you're putting out so much money, and I think that that's what our responsibility as an industry really should be. Hey, it shouldn't be a scary industry. It's a great job. I'm so glad we all stuck through it and got through it and we can talk about it. But that first year, those statistics aren't lying. I just think that there's a lot more knowledge we should be putting out there about the expenses to get into it, what the average sales are like, and just what you really should be doing. And it's not just buying all these programs and these lead don't sign up for Zillow and all these kind of things because until you're making money, then you should actually be putting money back into your business.
But what attracted you to become a broker so young? What drew you to that?
The biggest thing is probably, it's no joke, it's honest, it's probably insecurity. My thing is my age in this industry. Rookie agents is definitely skewing much younger right now. And when I got into the business, I was 29. And to this day, even as a broker for a very large company, even with all these things I do for the association and stuff, it is probably a good bet that 9 times out of 10 when I walk into some room with a group of other people, my age gets brought up. And it's one of those, it doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't make me think anything negative about it. But what drew me into being a broker is I felt that, you know, I was never some 30-unit producer agent every year in a row. I was a good full-time agent and I liked it, but I knew that for me to feel more confident in my role and kind of in this industry and not to always be like that youngin' kind of person, I had to go do it. So it's as soon as I hit my 3-year anniversary, I went, took my classes, got my broker. Honestly, it came from just the insecurity of I always felt like I had to be doing as much to warrant, you know, I didn't go out and get all these designations because, you know, that's just not for me, but I needed to get ones that actually mattered. And that's why I knew getting my broker's license had a real impact on what I could do in this industry. So
that's cool. Well, and I think it's something that the whole millennial bashing thing, I don't know if that's a thing where you are, but
oh yes, every day.
The whole, oh, you know what you're doing on the computer because you're a millennial or whatever. But also some people think certain things about millennial agents, but there is some extra value that millennial leaders and millennial agents can bring to the table. And so I think that's really cool that you wanted to do the broker thing, because I am kind of the opposite. I'm like, I don't want that responsibility at all.
Yeah. I think that's totally a personality thing, and I think it's really cool that you took something that was an insecurity and actually gained a lot from it. Yeah, you did something with it. So a lot of the time, I know I can feel insecure about things and just be kind of weepy about it and then forget.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's a really great example to set for someone that is young in this business. And also, you were telling me about the age statistic.
Right now, the average age for agents is 55. I think it's the last one for 2018 that NAR released to us. So 55 is the average age. You know, our age gets brought up from our clients. It's not just other agents that bring it up. I've had 3 listing appointments this year where my age got brought up, and I just felt, hey, let's address it. And the only way I can do that is by bringing up statistics. And so we see that. We see that the age for a realtor skews older. A lot of these are second career agents that, you know, they had their career that they did, then they wanted a little bit more freedom, so they got into real estate when they were a little bit older. And it's just one of those things that, you know, the way I look at it as far as, you know, broker versus realtor is most agents like the idea of, I just want to be a realtor. I just want to sell real estate. I don't want to gain any more kind of responsibilities, which it's just a thing. Like you said, it's a choice. It's a personality trait. I don't know what the statistic is on how many people are associate brokers, but I imagine it's not that high either, at least for Virginia. You know, I see our agents, I can think of a couple off the top of my head. I have about 120 agents that I supervise for. There's only a handful of them that have the associate brokers, and I think it's because people just kind of make up a decision, hey, I just want to sell real estate. I got into it, hey, I wanted to sell real estate, but I definitely saw there were a lot of changes. Like to Alison's point, as a younger person in kind of a leadership role, I start being able to go up to companies and say, hey, yes, I'm the millennial. Call me the millennial all you want. I know it's an easy, you know, way to identify me. That's fine. But here's some great new products too that we should get, whether it's a millennial realtor or an older agent. This is what's going to streamline the business process for everyone. And as much as it's like pulling teeth sometimes to get anyone to use a new system, if from a management side of things and from a broker side, it saves agents time, which is what you guys don't have enough of for all the clients and all the stuff that we have responsibilities for.
Right.
So I think that younger side of it in a leadership role does help because it sits and says, let's streamline these processes. So you're not taking 2 hours to do a listing agreement versus that should only take 30 minutes to put it into the systems, and then you can focus on other things.
Can we also talk about how Millennial is actually kind of a cool name? That's like something you would find in like Star Wars.
I'm not mad at it. I'll say that. Millennial, it works, and I've been called it for years. So it's one of those things that it works for me. You know the funny thing about these labels, it's not like no millennial actually said, hey, let's start this movement to call us millennials. It's only other older generations that are like, hey, these millennials getting into real estate or these millennial clients. I work with all people my own age, and I've never referred to them as millennials. But anytime someone above me in management or another agent older than me, those are the only people that use the titles.
Yeah.
Because they want to tell you that you're lazy, but that you know how to use social media.
Tell you that you're lazy and then ask you for help on their computer.
Yeah, I was going to say, can you help me print this? But you're really entitled.
You know that there's 3 like baby boomers right now talking the same way about us, right?
To smooth everything over, what I'll say is us being younger, we have so much we actually can learn. I have never walked into a room, a board of directors meeting, nothing, without just open ears to listen to everyone's input, because there are people with 10, 15, 20 years of experience. And my first thought is never walking into a room and thinking that someone's age disqualifies me from taking anything away from it. So I'll say that most of my experience, the people that got me most interested in becoming a broker were my managing broker where I started, the assistant branch leader that was over there too. And these were older people that just saw that I loved doing training courses with agents, and I wanted to do more than just work with clients. So they're the ones that were saying, hey, we need more people to be energizing kind of this role. And it's just carried on. So it's one of those things that I've always been about. No matter what your age is, you can learn from someone something new. So
there was a good amount of associate brokers that just continued on as regular, salespeople. I would wonder, like, what the benefit of that would be.
So when I got my associate broker, I knew what my career goal was going to be, but when I had it for about 6 months before they made me an actual broker, it was just a title. I mean, it really is one.
Did you feel like it changed a lot?
No, I tried to use it as like a marketing thing to tell people hey, you got to use me over a regular realtor because
I know more.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's a valid marketing kind of thing, but as far as did my associate broker title prepare me for my actual broker duties, Absolutely not. It was to get your actual associate broker's license. I think it's 180. It's 45. Yeah. And after that, it's a lot of going over kind of your basic principles and education stuff. I mean, there's a lot more information in it, but it's not more information that you can use. It's the stuff that everyone should know. You just have to be trained on it and take an exam on it. But yeah, there was nothing more you do on an everyday basis. But you should still go get it completely.
I do think it's a designation that people recognize in the real world. Like, clients understand that a broker means something more than realtor, but they don't know all the rest of them, right? So those ones you have to kind of like educate. But if you say broker, they're like, okay, cool.
I feel like real estate broker is just like a sexier title.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I immediately when I got it, I changed all my cards over to broker. It's just one of those things because
do it.
You're absolutely right about it. We have all these designations. I mean, for $5, I can go get a designation right now and put it behind my name on a card and everything. But at least with broker, it's something that officially came from D4 themselves. And that's why it just made more sense for me to go get it.
And it's something, like Alison said, that people recognize.
Yeah. And when you have about 5 designations after your name, it gets to a point where even trying to start explaining that to a client, which is why I knew instead of going after all these designations, let me just go get my broker thing because it, in my view, was the most important one I wanted to get.
Yeah.
It would open doors for me if they opened that way. But the other designations just didn't make as much sense for me to go after at that time.
Hey guys, Alex here. We're so happy that Kyle was able to come on and do this episode with us. And we had such a great talk that we decided to split this up into 2 episodes. So make sure to tune in next week for part 2 of our conversation with Kyle, the Millennial Broker. Thanks for listening. Bye.